Good morning. This is Sifu Slim, and I'm coming to you live from a beautiful beach in South Florida, in Jupiter, Florida. How gorgeous is this? Some early morning risers are out. There's a person off in the distance sitting. Let's see if we can zoom in on the person in the distance. Small craft out in the ocean and some people walking in the distance as well. So it's before 7 o'clock a.m. and so there are very limited people out here. And I wanted to show you a couple of things today. The first is the idea of what we're taking care of in this life. So we've got books that talk about growing greener cities, urban sustainability in the 21st century. So really important stuff, growing greener cities, how not to pollute when we're in urban areas, and how to be efficient in the planning of our roads, buildings, schools, commercial buildings, trails, etc. You know, here we are with beautiful nature here by the beach, and this is really important in the ecosystem because it protects all of the sand which goes uphill here to the bank, to the road, the beachfront avenue, A1A, in South Florida, and these plants hold all the sand in so it's not eroding. So what's holding you together? So a very close contact of mine used to work at a gym during college in Florida, in South Florida, and when people came into the gym, sometimes they just wanted to check out the prices and the gym, and then they'd walk out without signing up. And you know how cheap gyms are. I mean, their gyms are available now where they'll give you a few months free, try out, and then after that it's 20 something or 30 something a month. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying that you can't use money as an excuse when it's 20 or $30 a month and free for a few months for trial. There are many that have that offering. And so some people used to walk out. So this would have been in the years like 1980, 82. The people would not sign up, and then he'd walk out and he said, would you just hold on a second? So these are other salespeople who would bring them to this particular person, and this particular person would say, hey, let me show you something before you leave. And he'd show them a skeleton, and he'd take the skeleton off the hanger, and he would hold it in his hands. He'd say, you see this move? Okay, this is a skeleton moving around. And then he'd put it on the ground, and down on the ground went the skeleton, and of course it forms just a pile. Everything falls apart. And he said that's what your body does when you don't have strong muscles, bones, joints, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. That's what your body does. It falls apart and it can't hold itself up, just like the skeleton does. So that's a great image to consider when you're taking care of the physical body. And so just like this book talks about growing greener cities and how important that is, what about growing a sustainable human being in mind, body, and spirit, and how important is that, right? So the idea is take care of yourself. And how do you do that? So the sustainability of the body is really important. And I happen to just finish reading a book on Greg LeMond, and in that book they mention Lance Armstrong. And so Lance Armstrong came out, this isn't the exact one, but there were bracelets that were for cancer awareness and cancer research. Now, I'm not going to say that that's a bad idea, cancer awareness and cancer research. But the millions and perhaps billions of dollars going into cancer research is a strange occurrence. Yes, it's good to have cancer research. Yes, it's good to have cancer awareness and prevention. But if you look at the ancient people, there were very few causes of cancer if you go back 2,000 years ago. So yes, we don't live 2,000 years ago anymore. But the more we live like the people 2,000 years ago, the less incidence of cancer we're going to have. So the awareness should be, in my opinion, not in the way we're doing it in the medical system, which is, check, unhealthful people and unwell people and people who are not into wellness, and they're eating poorly, sleeping poorly, sitting all day, or standing all day, not moving in a invigorating way at all, not doing any stretching, no aerobics, no anaerobics, no hanging exercises, no yoga, no stretching, no relaxation, no meditation. And they're living in this very dysfunctional, unwell state. And then we take these people and then we do this cancer testing. So we're testing them, and they're on a cellular level, the blood level, urine level, all these things, looking for markers for prostate cancer, for heart health, for lung health, eye health. Yeah, all those things are important, but we're putting so much emphasis on that and very little emphasis on eating well, living well, exercising well, sleeping well. And those are the things that the ancient people oftentimes had. Forget longevity. Longevity is not even part of the question. Who wants to be unwell and feeling unwell and dysfunctional, having gas, having back problems, having hip problems, having stress, taking a bunch of medication for your mind and your body, and living a long time? Does that sound like something we should promote? Longevity? No. Longevity, if you're talking about wellness and thriving and some happiness and some resilience, yeah, that's wonderful. Talk about longevity in that aspect. But longevity, is if it falls into, I'm afraid of dying early because I'm a mess and I haven't done anything and I'm not thriving, yeah, that's a problem. And that's what I believe we have. So if you're thinking rationally in the conscious mind, hold off on that and don't think irrationally, but think rationally in the unconscious mind. And that's where people have that fear of dying. They're not fulfilled, they're not thriving, and they're not seeing life with a beginning, middle, and an end. They're seeing it as some sort of a downer. And in the unconscious mind, you may want to leave the planet early. So that might be a part of someone's practice of unwellness. You don't hear that said very often. The practice of wellness we hear, but the practice of unwellness we don't often hear. So that's what I wanted to clue you in on today as the sun's rising off in the distance. The idea of don't put your money on the bracelets and the cancer research. Put your money on wellness. And that's the message for today. Yes, think prevention and think testing here and there, yes. But I know people who don't go to the doctor very often. I know people who haven't been to the doctor in 25 to 40 years, and they are people who understand health and their mind, body, and spirit wellness, and they know intuitively when they have to go to the doctor. So that sounds like an anomaly. Don't go in and get your checkups. No, I'm not saying that. But I know people who do that, and they don't need to go in and get their blood tested all the time. They're eating properly. They're pooping well, pooping logs, and they have energy, and they sleep well, and they're drinking fluids, and they're eating one meal a day. All these things that are markers of the wellness habits and practices. And that's what I would encourage the world to do, is live more like our ancestors from a few thousand years ago or 20,000 years ago, the ones that were thriving. Not everyone thrived, but the people who had a source of water, clean source of water, had a clean source of protein and fat and root plants, and weren't gorging themselves. And they didn't have, most hunting and gathering people did not have access to alcohol and sugar the way that we do. They had much less ingestion of sugar, much less having to worry about metabolizing sugar. So those are some things to consider on your walk today as the sun rises off in the distance. How beautiful is that? The poochies here sniffing around the seaweed. Activation of the mind, body, and spirit in the morning, grounded to the earth, in the sand. And I'm going to go out and do my physical program. And I wish you all the best in your happiness, in your mind, body, and spirit wellness. I wish you all the best. I'm Sifu Slim. Please like, please subscribe, and leave your fun and respectful comments below. Aloha.